There we go.
How's it going, John?
It is going well tonight, Eric. How are you?
Another Wednesday, another podcast.
There you go. There you go. Wednesday night. Get to talk about some of the stuff we read, some of the stuff that happened this week. It's all good. It's all good. It was a holiday weekend.
Yes, that's right. Halloween. Trying to think what we did for Halloween. Because I don't have a kid who enjoys trick-or-treating. I mean, I have only one kid still at home, and he's too cool for trick-or-treating.
I'm sorry.
Although I think he actually did end up going for a little bit with some buddies. He disappeared at some point Halloween evening and came back, and there was candy.
And there was let there be candy. Okay, awesome. Yeah, my younger one has a whole handful of friends that they get together a lot. And I think I might have mentioned last week that they all were going to dress up as Marvel characters. And they told him he had to dress up as Endgame Thor. So, you know, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good with a pillow under his belly. So he was all, you know.
So the fat Thor of Endgame Thor, not the
exactly.
end of the movie.
Fat Thor, like, you know, with a blue hoodie. We got him a wig, so he had he already has long hair, but he had even longer hair and a beard, and yeah, he looked pretty epic.
You showed me pictures. That was pretty. I showed my wife. She laughed and laughed and she was, I want to see this.
It was pretty good. Yeah. It was pretty good. So yeah, he went over there. And so with my older boy, my wife was nice enough to just buy a bag of candy. So we got some candy the easy way. And we just watched, we were like, okay, what's a good Halloween movie that, you know, my younger boy doesn't really like suspense movies. And so we watched, my older boy and I watched Alien, which he hadn't seen before. So that was a good Halloween movie. So I might have to watch Aliens the next opportunity.
See, what you need to watch next is Dune.
So yeah,
I need to talk about it.
My ability to watch Dune is getting hung up on my principles of you must read the book first, and want to get to watch it as a family. So he has not completed, and he told me, he said the other day at dinner, yesterday at dinner, when we were like kind of haranguing him on why haven't you finished it yet? He was like. He said something like, "You guys are pressuring me too much. I told you could just go without me. It's fine." And I'm like, "Oh no, you need to finish that book." So I don't know. I was fully intending on watching it this past weekend, but it did not happen. But I mean, it was a full weekend anyway. So yeah, I didn't actually wind up. I don't even know when I would have been able to watch it, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, because now The Eternals is out.
Is it?
Yes, The Eternals is out, and apparently to not very good reviews.
Aww.
It's spoken of as better than The Incredible Hulk, but not by much. And some of the other reviews I saw were, this would have been much better as a Disney Plus 6-part, you know, kind of like the Loki series or the Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're like, this movie would have been better as one of those than as try to cram it into a 3-hour movie. So, but I'm sure I will go see it. So
as will I. And I have mentioned on the show, I'm easily amused. I'm not a harsh critic.
No,
you know,
me either.
Like give me, you know, action, lots of flash, a little bit of quick character development, and a little bit of story. Yeah, and yeah, I'm good. Anyway, Anything else exciting happen this weekend other than the non-Thanksgiving? You must have gotten trick-or-treaters, though.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Halloween.
see.
We did get trick-or-treaters. Not Thanksgiving. We did get trick-or-treaters.
Oh, sorry. One holiday. Are they not?
One holiday blends into the other at this point. Yes, we did get a handful of trick-or-treaters, and my neighbor, every year does a chili cook-off before Halloween, and then everybody takes the kids out to Halloween. And we skipped it last year because we didn't, COVID. This year he did it again, but we did it out in his driveway, which was great. We had chili. The kids this was like around 5:30, so the kids were in their costumes, and the adults kind of hung out and chatted, and then they all took off. And then I sat and waited for trick-or-treaters to show up. We had a few, not as many as previous years, but a lot more than last year. I mean, we had last year for the COVID thing, we just put candy in little baggies on little sticks, skewers, and stuck them out in the grass so that it was a little baggie on the top of a skewer, and then you just picked the baggie off the skewer and took the candy with you. That's how we did it last year. So they didn't actually ring the doorbell last year. This year we actually had them ring the doorbell and do the whole trick or treat and hand them candy thing. So
I see. Well, I have been back in Oregon for 15 years this month. 15 years this month.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not once had a trick or treater at my house.
It's because you live in places that trick-or-treaters don't know how to get to. Or
exactly.
The ROI for adding your house to any trick-or-treater's route.
Exactly.
It's an unknown. If you advertised full-size candy bars, 2 or 3, like out at the front of your road, maybe you'd get some.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah.
No, when we lived in our previous house, my kids were younger, and they obviously, like trick-or-treating, so we would drive to the neighborhood, the nearby neighborhood.
Right.
And where there was a density of houses, as would everybody else in like a 5-mile range from the country. The whole neighborhood would be packed, couldn't find a parking spot on the roads, and, just swarming with costumed children. Anyway, that was all good.
Yeah,
that was fun. So I finished building with my wife the did I say last
your
week?
Hay feeder. Yeah, your soccer goal hay feeder thing.
A soccer, exactly. So
I still can't quite make the mental picture how you turn a soccer goal into a hay feeder, but I imagine I'll see it at some point.
You will, but it's actually really easy because you just, where the net would be on the top and back, you replace that with roof. Open front, just like the open goal. And open sides that we can throw hay in the sides. So it's literally just a top and back roof. And then, in order to get it into the fence line, how do they do that? We actually cut down. I don't know if anybody listening to this would know what a cattle panel is, but it's basically like a 16-foot long fence segment with like 4-inch squares. So we cut that down to like 2 feet. So it's really low in the front. And then we took a tall one, a regular full-sized one. And since they're 16 feet long, I bent it at about 2.5 feet, 2 feet. And so it kind of goes back 2 feet, over 12 feet, up 2 feet. So it's kind of got, and then inside there, that's where the hay actually goes. It's mainly to keep the cows from pulling the hay out and just walking and pooping all over it and wasting a lot of hay. But,
You used words and hand signals, and I still am struggling to picture it, but I'm sure I'll see it at some point.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So,
well,
anyway.
I did not build a hay feeder, but I did do a bunch of yard work as it's been raining. We're moving into the rainy season.
It has been raining. Yep.
So I've been finding the places around my yard where the rebellious puddles of water like to gather, cause trouble, and correcting them, making them drain as opposed to stagnate. So it was a very muddy weekend leading up to the Halloween party, but that was my physical exercise for the weekend, and then my enjoyment for the weekend was getting a text from daughter number 2. Hey, Dad, do you listen to Oingo Boingo? Oh, daughter.
Oh, you
hold,
have
please.
no idea.
Let me
what
give
you're
you
asking
the
for.
playlist. Let me give you the essentials. Here's what you need to listen to. I think it's hilarious that now the kids are going back. You know, the 80s music is becoming more and more popular.
So long as the 80s hair doesn't come back.
My wife said the exact same thing. Yeah. Anyways, music, I got you covered, daughter.
Yeah.
Next up, New Order. So, anyways,
that's funny.
That was my fun weekend.
Just stuff to do. To do. Lots to do. All right. Maybe next week I'll see if my experiment with epoxy is going to turn out. Because I had a little bit of
right
experimenting this weekend, but then this epoxy is supposed to cure between 60 and 75 degrees. It's not 60 and between 60 and 75 degrees. No. At least not outside. So it is officially today. It is officially like I had a little bit left in the bottom of the cup. And that is now officially like hard. Like I can't move the stir stick anymore, which I could still even yesterday. But I'm thinking that I'll
give it a few more
until
days.
Saturday.
Yeah, give it a few more days.
Saturday or Sunday, and I'll do that. So that'll see. So hey, I threw one thing in follow-up here.
Alrighty.
We have talked about the NSO group before. A couple of times, and they are the spyware company that sells spyware to different governments around the world.
Yep.
I saw today, thanks to the Twitters, that the U.S. government, the Department of Commerce, is adding them to a what they call an entity list.
Okay.
The entity list identifies entities for which there is reasonable cause to believe, based on specific and articulable facts, that the entities have been involved, are involved, or pose a significant risk of being or becoming involved in activities contrary to the national security or foreign policy interests of the United States.
Aha.
Interesting. I am not a government policy wonk or even play one on TV. But I believe that this will cause their software to be unable to be exported for sure. Because it says it in some of the quotes I pulled out. I don't understand about importing or what the export is, if that's export from the company or country in question. But I will be curious to learn more.
Well, since it's from a foreign country, we'd have to block importing into the U.S., right?
You would think, yes, but like the quote specifically says. In fact, here I'll read one of my later quotes here. In addition, the ERC, and I forgot what ERC stands for. I didn't pull it out. Determined that no license exceptions should be available for exports, re-exports, or transfers in country to the persons being added to the entity list in this rule. The ERC imposed a license review policy of a presumption of denial for these 4 entities.
Oh, I wonder if they have like an office located in the,
I don't know.
companies of that size are usually multinational, right? So
yeah, I don't know. There's lots I don't understand. But
okay.
The other thing, what's the other quote? So there were actually 4 companies that were called out here. Let's see. What's the quote here? The quote is specifically investigative information has shown that the Israeli companies NSO Group and Kandiru developed and supplied spyware to foreign governments that used this tool to maliciously target government officials, journalists, business people, activists, academics, and embassy workers. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see the government putting that in black and white. And that, so let's see, so that was about NSO and Kandiru. The ERC determined that Positive Technologies, located in Russia, and Computer Security Initiative Consultancy, PTE, located in Singapore, be added to the entity list based on their engagement in activities counter to U.S. national security. Specifically, these entities traffic in cyber exploits used to gain access to information systems, threatening the privacy and security of individuals and organizations worldwide. So,
all right. Well, we'll see what happens.
I'm happy to see movement. Mm-hmm. And this was, oh, no, sorry. One of my topic is actually a different government topic. I was going to say this was, I got this from a link from CISA, but I don't think so. But I bet Chris Krebs tweeted it, would be my guess.
Probably.
I'd have to go back and look and see where I got the link from, but
okay.
Very cool. Very cool. So there's my follow-up. NSO Group is officially
on a list.
Company non gratis. I don't know what you say about that, but
okay.
Presumption of denial.
All right. Cool. So my topic for today is more information on two-factor authentication. We've talked about two-factor authentication a lot. Mm-hmm. Go enable two-factor authentication. And apparently the message is getting out because now scammers are building systems to help get around two-factor authentication. And in the bad guy underground, there are bots that help make getting two-factor one-time passcode codes from users easy as a click of a button. So wow. The idea is once the bad guy has an email and a password through some other breach, they can rent this service or buy access to these underground services to automate the pulling of one-time passwords. And so what basically will happen is you will get a call on your phone or a text message on your phone that will claim to come from, say, PayPal's fraud prevention system or Amazon's, whatever, or your bank's, Venmo, Apple, any of these places that you exchange money, and the bots will target them specifically, and you'll get either a phone call and an automated voice saying, hey, someone's tried to use your account and spend some amount of money, and then we just need to verify your identity to block the transfer. And so and then it continues, in order to verify your account or secure your account, please enter the code that we have sent to your mobile device now, right? So the attacker is sitting at the real login window mm-hmm. for said service, and they're tapping a button to say, all right, now, click the send a passcode now, and that'll send the passcode to the real person who's now sitting on the line, once they've answered the phone. Uh-huh. And they'll enter the passcode, and then the attacker will just use that. And so it's a way to bypass. It's a phishing attack, right? It's tricking you into
totally
getting that. And then the voice very politely says, hey, thank you. That worked. Don't worry about any bad charges on your account. We'll get those cleaned up in 24 to 48 hours.
Any fraudulent charges will be reverted.
Yeah, that's right.
Fraudulent charge.
That's right. So anyways, they made it online services, and they market their way. They're marketing those kind of things to other people now on the underground, because well, I thought I pulled the quote out. One of the quotes was, bot sellers are running promotional prices that you can get, a month of access for $500 or lifetime access for $3,000. And the other quote,
lifetime of the subscriber or lifetime of the service?
Lifetime of the service, because one of the services got taken down, and one of the other competing services said, "Hey, we are aware that this other service is shut down. We would like to welcome your the old clients with open arms," and they gave them 20% off their first month if they subscribed with the new hacker service. But let's see.
Honor among thieves. Yeah. discounts among thieves.
Yeah, discounts among thieves. There was a quote in here about commenting about how hackers typically aren't very socially skilled social engineers. So by automating this process, this would convince many unsuspecting victims to hand over their two-factor codes, and the scammer doesn't even need to be a skilled social engineer. They can simply use this bot to attempt account takeover, is one of the quotes in the article. So there you go. If you get text messages, and I've been receiving a lot of them lately, I don't know why the uptick in scam text messages of, hey, your Netflix account has been hacked. Click here to log in and verify, secure your account. I have like 3 today, so.
Oh, wow. That is a lot.
It's out and about. So.
I got 1 this weekend, but I'm not getting 3 in a day. And it seems to mostly be like, thanks for paying your AT&T bill. We have a free gift for you here.
Yeah. Let me see. I think I got one of those today. I got a attention seniors on Medicare one.
You're a senior.
Yes. Netflix, please confirm your password at 7 a.m. and then again at 9 a.m. Then I just got a screenshot of AT&T. We apologize for the Temple phone outage yesterday. You are one of 2,500 affected customers. Here's a $100 free gift. Just click here. And the URL isn't even remotely close. It's just a scramble of letters. And that was just in the last 2 days, yesterday and today. So good times. Anyways,
times.
Don't click on things.
Good times.
All right.
Okay.
Government stuff.
Have more government stuff. Yeah. Tonight's a government night. This, I'm certain I got the link from CISA Gen. So my first topic is that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency today released their first, I thought this was their first, binding operational directive, again, basically a command that they get to give to other federal civilian agencies, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, there's two parts of this. I think the first is that they are releasing a catalog of known exploited vulnerabilities. And there's a lot of them if you scroll through. And the second thing is that they require the federal agencies to remediate these vulnerabilities within a specific time frame. So, so it says, directive applies to all software and hardware found on federal information systems, including those managed on agency premises or hosted by third parties on an agency's behalf. And with this directive, CISA is imposing the first government-wide requirements to remediate vulnerabilities affecting both internet-facing and non-internet-facing assets. Every day, our adversaries are using known vulnerabilities to target federal agencies. as the operational lead for federal cybersecurity, we are using our directive authority to drive cybersecurity efforts towards mitigation of those specific vulnerabilities that we know to be actively used by malicious cyber actors. So that's the point, right? If the agency knows that these are being actively exploited, they'll go on the list, and agencies have a short time to do. Again, I am not a government wonk or whatever you would say. I remember I did a topic last year about a directive that they had to go patch the specific items. I think it was the Excel vulnerability. Was it Excel? Maybe it was the, anyway.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember something.
They were doing one-off things before. This seems to me to be okay, here's the deal. We're going to have a catalog. We're going to add things to the catalog, and you have X amount of time from the time we add them to the catalog to get them remediated forever and ever, amen. So instead of releasing specific directives for specific vulnerabilities that are known to be exploited in the wild. This is exciting, I think. And the other thing I think that this is exciting for too is I expect this will be used for more than just the government. And that's their intent as well. They say at the end of the press release, here's the other quote, or another quote, this directive applies to federal civilian agencies. However, CISA strongly recommends that private businesses, state, local, tribal, and territorial governments prioritize mitigation of vulnerabilities listed in CISA's public catalog and sign up to receive notifications when new vulnerabilities are added. So, I suspect this will drive prioritization, patching, work across companies, as well as government, which is great.
Yep.
Patch is something we've reiterated 1,000 times. The one other bit about this that I would say is there's a quote in here that says, with over 18,000 vulnerabilities identified in 2020 alone, organizations find it challenging to prioritize limited resources towards remediating vulnerabilities that are most likely to result in damaging intrusion. So out of the 18,000, they're saying not don't go patch all those other things, but at least here's the top ones you should patch.
Right.
Which is great.
If you're working from a prioritized list, here's the prioritized list.
Yeah. and everybody has to work from a prioritized list. Because there's a lot of patches.
Always some.
There's always something. And there's nobody has enough folks. All right. So my second topic. So I think this is still worth talking about, even though I know that you have kind of a rebuttal. So,
which is not normal for this show. We don't normally have a topic rebuttal.
Process. It's cool. It's cool. This is good. So I threw this in Slack, and then you threw the but in Slack, which is great. Is great. So this is a attack type hypothetically new, which that's part of the point. Is let's see. Academics have published details about a theoretical attack that can be used to insert malicious code inside legitimate apps via their comment fields. This is actually this is a Catalan article from the Record, but I have quibbles. It's not that. Well, so it says here's the other part that says. Researchers said attackers could insert bidirectional control characters inside comments that human reviewers won't be able to see, and which, when compiled, will move text from the comment field into executable code or move security-related code into a commented section, opening the application to attacks or negating security checks. Okay, it's not that the code is moving. It's that,
right.
What you see on the screen is not the same thing the computer sees. The bidirectional control characters are, basically move where the actual where the characters are going to appear that they are, like where they're going to be printed, from where they actually are in the text. And a compiler doesn't care about display; it cares about what's the actual bytes that it's being asked to compile.
Right.
So the fact that it quote unquote shifts,
Yeah. So you're saying that when the file is read in by the program, the compiler, for a left to right language, it reads the bytes left to right, but for a right to left language, it does not open the file and start at the end and read right to left for the characters. It still reads left to right for the bytes as they get read in.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. That's your completely irrelevant and useless fact of the day.
Okay. I'm like, what? Yeah. Like,
duh.
I'll tell you, the byte at position offset 0 is followed by the byte at position offset 1.
Regardless of the right to left or left to right language.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've established that base, we can continue.
So I don't know. So the point of this is like, when a developer, when a programmer would look at a screen, they would see something that looks like a comment and then something inside the comment. But
correct.
In reality, the values inside the aren't actually inside the comment. They're outside the comment. So it looks like you're not saying something, or it looks like there is a security check there, but in reality, it's not. So that's kind of the first quote unquote attack here.
Right.
The second that the researchers described is what they call a homoglyph attack, which we've talked about similar things on the podcast, like typo squatting,
domain name, typo squatting,
domain name, or you you see this all the time in phishing things where they try and get a domain that looks kind of like AT&T, but the T's are a little suspicious looking.
Yep.
But so this is the sort of thing where you could make two functions that say, do safe, secure thing, but the S's, it looks like an S, but it's actually not an S. It's a Unicode or, some other character that prints the same on the screen that you look at. And so when you're doing a code review or something like that, you might say, oh, okay, it's calling this other function. But in reality, it's calling another function elsewhere that does something completely different and perhaps introduces a vulnerability. And given the fact that so many of today's, development today is done by piling framework on top of framework and, importing dependency after dependency, it can be very easy you can imagine it would be very easy to inject these sorts of vulnerabilities, into a project that is, will be used, but without, unbeknownst to the eventual developer. So those were the things on this. And they actually, they did a, they did a name and a slick site and they called it a Trojan Source.
Yeah.
But all right. So tell me why that's all wrong. Tell me why that's all wrong there.
So the but is, this is not actually new. And as you also mentioned in there, it's not that it can't be perceived by human reviewers. So to the not new, there's a linked article that we'll link in here as well that mentions, well, here's an example in Golang in 2017. Here's an example in Rust in 2018, C++ in 2019, and Ruby in 2020. So there's plenty of examples of this kind of attack in already out there. And as this rebuttal argument or paper website also mentions, that even on Hacker News, it was mentioned that if there was an editor that did syntax highlighting of comments, syntax editor is run by the computer, understands left to right, right to understands what's going on, and won't put those comments in a comment color, visually comment color. So, and then it talks about threats not immediately, argues about where the fix should be, and where the paper recommends it is not where this guy thinks it should be. And anyways, so the summary is it's an old bug. The changes aren't really invisible. Plenty of programmers will be able to see them. It's not as sneaky or new as the paper seems to make it out to be. So there's your but. So
yeah, and I pretty much mostly agree.
Well, their problem really was, though, that they didn't actually go with a logo. They do have a logo. I was trying to say, I just went to their website, the trojansources.codes, and I didn't see the big logo, but it looks like the website fave icon is a logo of it looks like what were those robots in Attack of the Clones, the Star Wars, with the pointy noses? They were the clone robots. It looks like a clone robot with the Roman, headdress thing on his head. So I don't know what the actual logo is, but that's what it looks like to me.
That's funny.
So never mind. They actually did have a logo. I was gonna say the reason that they didn't succeed in tricking anybody is because they didn't confuse anybody or distract people with a logo. Yeah,
I'm sure. So is that Trojan with the red? Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever that fuzzy headdress, the thing that they I don't know what that's for. Clean their shoes after they hike. I'm not sure what that spiky red fuzzy thing is on the top of the helmet, but
I am not.
You're not a lot of things tonight.
I am not a lot of things.
You're not a policy wonk. You're not a historian.
There are many things that I am not. There are many things I am not. There's a practically infinite number of things that I am not. I just don't think that it's not. I don't think it's a countably infinite thing. It's an uncountably infinite things that I am not. Okay. Anyway, so hey, that was my topic. Exactly.
Awesome.
How about something fun? I think it's time for something fun.
Okay. I have something fun. I have a plethora of funness today. So a follow-up fun. I have started reading that LiveWired book based on your something fun last week of the
ahead of
professor that did the YouTube video. I have not watched the YouTube video, but I've started reading the book. And it's I don't want to. It's an interesting book. It's not I got to sit down, edge of your seat page turner, as I don't think you would expect it to be, but it's chopped up nicely so that you can sit down for 30 minutes, read a chapter or read a section as he introduces a topic, talks about how the brain reacts. And anyways, it's good. I've been enjoying it. When I get, a handful of minutes here and there, I'll sit down and read a section or a chapter, or it's interesting.
Good. Okay, I haven't started that. I did buy it, but haven't started it yet. Good.
Then my something fun, the first one anyways, is the Dune screenplay. So the guy who wrote the screenplay for Dune, which you have not seen yet.
which I have not seen, and therefore you may not speak of it. Sorry.
I am going to tell you, he apparently still uses an MS-DOS program to do all his screenwriting.
What?
It's this MS-DOS program called Movie Master. He can't get it anywhere. His computer doesn't attach to the internet. He prints it out, and then they have to, when he sends in his manuscript, they have to take his printout and scan it in to use it elsewhere. But he has Windows XP. He's still using Windows XP and this 30-year-old Movie Master program that's written in DOS. And there's a YouTube video you can watch where he launches Windows XP, pulls up a DOS window, loads up Movie Master 3.09 on his old mechanical beige keyboard, and starts typing. And all it is a DOS black screen with white text, right? So there is your entertainment. And the funny thing is it'll only hold 40
keyboard choice.
And the great thing is he can only edit 40 pages at a time, because then it runs out of memory.
Oh, my gracious.
He can only do 40 pages at a time. So anyways, I thought seeing this was hilarious. So go watch Dune.
Okay.
So we can finally talk about it. I'm telling you, I will have seen it 3 times. So I watched Dune again this weekend with my wife, and we enjoyed it the second time. Daughter number 2 is apparently is coming home this next weekend for a short visit, and she said, "Dad, can we watch Dune?" Like, sure.
You're like,
so
yes,
I'm going to watch
absolutely.
Dune a third time this weekend.
Every week, you're on a once a weekend.
That's right.
Pace.
Dune. It's Dune weekend.
Every weekend is Dune weekend.
Yeah. And then I'll just throw one more. It's a YouTube video, which I stumbled across, which I thought was awesome. Simon and Garfunkel's Sound of Silence. Classic American song. You don't mess with classic American songs. A heavy metal band called Disturbed covered the song, and it is freaking awesome.
I have heard this many times. It's one of my younger boys. Like he loves Disturbed.
Yeah.
And they've got some other really good songs too, but there's not many times, especially for something as amazing as that. And I cannot say, I physically cannot say that it's better, because that would be impossible. But it's indistinguishable.
It is awesome.
Not that it's indistinguishable, because there's wildly
very different.
It's a very different take on it, but it's a magnificent take. I totally agree with this as something fun.
If you have not,
this is an awesome song.
So if you haven't seen it or haven't watched it, and especially if you don't like heavy metal music, don't worry about it. My wife enjoyed it, and she's very much a choir. She sings in a chorale. She sings with, the Oregon Symphony for Christmas kind of thing. So she enjoyed it.
That is a wonderful cover.
So I'll throw that link in there. You should go listen to it. Go watch the video. The video is great too. The imagery in the video is great as well. So anyways, that's my fun list for today. I'm sure I've
seen it at least once, but but I've heard the song a number of times.
Yeah.
A lot. It was really good. Okay. I have one something fun and one something super not fun.
So are we going to end on a fun note or end on a not fun note?
We're going to end on a not fun note. Okay. Sorry. Because the something fun-ish, I guess, is a Qi charger, right?
Yeah.
For your
wireless charger.
They're building a Qi charger for electric vehicles, And maybe you and other people knew that this was coming, but I did not.
I did not either.
But so this is Volkswagen and Oak Ridge National Laboratory joining forces to try and improve the speed and minimizing the loss of inductive fast charging for electric vehicles. So basically, it's a coil that you drive over, right? Just like you put your phone down on a wireless charger, in a particular spot. You drive your car over the wireless charger, and it charges with magnetic fields, I guess. Right? You can induce a current with a magnetic field.
Right.
So they say that, let's see, through this research and development partnership, they've already been able to increase the maximum wireless charging speed from 6.6 kilowatts to 120 kilowatt. And they plan to increase that further, with 300 kilowatts being the goal. That would be enough to charge a Porsche Taycan with the big battery pack up to 80% in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Which is equivalent to a charging speed through a rapid charging station.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome? I mean, obviously they're only 40% of the way to their goal, but
yeah. At what point do we just build those into freeways? And so you just continuously charge a vehicle as you drive on it?
That'd be a lot of metal. And a lot of electromagnetic fields. I wonder what exposure would be worrisome for that. That's got to create some pretty potent magnetic fields. Anyway, the other thing is that they've said they've managed to get efficacy up to 98%. So only 2% of the power transmitted through the wireless pad is wasted. So
nice.
Anyway, that's my first something fun. I didn't even know that this was something that was being worked on. I think the more obvious thing for this is, instead of having to drive up to, spots in parking lots and plug in the car, right? You just drive up, park, and it charges for the 10 minutes you're in the store or whatever. Or put it in the floor of your garage, and you don't have to, plug the car in every night.
Right.
But that's anyway. That's my first one. And technically, that's probably the only fun thing here. But here's the second thing I thought was worth saying something about. It is less fun, but this is a ProPublica report of a toxic hotspots across the United States. So, ProPublica has done some amazing work this past year, and I'm sure they've done it more even before that. But they've popped up a number of times on my radar. But they analyzed 5 years of EPA data and identified more than 1,000 toxic hotspots across the country, and found that an estimated 250,000 people living in them may be exposed to levels of excess cancer risk that the EPA deems unacceptable. So, the agency, the EPA, has collected this information for years because, facilities have to report, have to measure and report to the EPA their chemical emissions each year. But this is about collection, collation, and visualization. So the link in here is to a toxicity map that has, you can actually put any, you can put any address in. So like I looked at Portland to see if there was anything in Portland. There wasn't actually anything near Portland itself that showed up. But if you if you look at the country as a whole, or they're highlighting the Gulf Coast. There's a lot down in the Gulf Coast, and there's a whole heck of a lot up near Chicago and the Great Lakes. But sorry, I'm scanning over. There's a number up by Portland. If you look up, sorry, I'm looking on the Portland thing. If you look up by Longview.
Well, there's one down in Oregon City. I was looking as well. There's something that emits. Oh, I was just there. It emits.
Interesting.
It says cobalt and chromium.
Yeah. You're talking about the what is this? What's the name of this facility? Cobalt and chromium. I see that. Orchid
Orthopedic Solutions Oregon Inc.
Interesting.
1 in 6,000 people have a risk of cancer risk in this area.
Yeah, in some of these places, so that's actually relatively low. But in some of these places, it's the EPA standard is 1 in 10,000. Of excess risk. So, 1 in 10,000 people will develop cancer.
Right.
Or, an issue about this. But if you look down around Galveston in Texas, there's some just brutal places here. 1 in 220, or 46 times the EPA's acceptable risk. Over the 5 years ProPublica analyzed, the excess risk here has ranged from as low as 1 in 310 to as high as 1 in 160. Equistar Chemicals Bayport Chemicals plant emits ethylene oxide and acetaldehyde. Yeah. And so, there's lots of stories about, communities, because then some of these are near schools and housing and other issues. And there's lots of stories about, what's making us sick. Is it getting in the water? Is it in the air? And so this is an interesting visualization. And, I guess I'm kind of hoping that, this gets picked up and, a little more is done about, I'm kind of frustrated, I guess, about, we consolidate the profits and then externalize the costs, in many areas of our, economy and government. Essentially, I think, it would be good if we paid more the true cost of things like fossil fuels, instead of subsidizing them and continuing to burn them. No, we should be paying the real cost. I mean, we are, or our children are going to pay the real cost regardless. So anyway, a little bit of preachiness there, but hey, this is not exactly fun, but it's worth a few minutes of exploration.
Yeah, it's a great article, great visual. Well done.
Yeah.
As per usual.
Exactly. Okay.
All right,
so like I said, not exactly fun. We'll end on a downer note, but hey,
next week.
Maybe
all fun next week.
All fun next week. All right, I'll try. I'll try.
All right.
Have a good night, Eric.
You too, John. Bye.
I'll see you later.